Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm extremely appreciative of the press being here, especially under these conditions. My name is Assemblywoman Maritza Davila. I am also a district leader, have been for 20 years. Our role as district leaders traditionally is to ensure that we recommend experienced poll workers from our communities and to also partake in selecting good and competent judges. For over 20 years, this has been a role that I personally have taken very seriously. This election cycle, Kings County Democratic leadership has decided to strip several district leaders who have fought for transparency and an open process, such as myself. Not only have they stripped us from our duty, but they have the audacity to put in place the candidates that are running in those exact districts. If this is not a real abuse of power, I don't know what is. Our communities will be put in the hands of candidates that will be desperate enough to force poll workers to vote their way in fear of their jobs. This is not a democracy. At a time when we are currently fighting for equality and fundamental rights established 50 years ago to protect reproductive rights of women while having to defend our democracy from the Republicans. This is clearly a desperate attempt to maintain and consolidate power. We as a party should be coming together, and instead we are being divided because of an establishment that has not allowed Democrats as a whole to be part of the process. Their tactic is an antiquated way to divide and conquer. We are one Brooklyn, and Brooklyn can't wait. I'm urging Brooklyn to stand against the political chains that have kept us from being inclusive and fair. My call of action is for all Democrats to show their strength on election day. We will not be bullied. I want to thank our Borough President Antonio Reynoso for allowing us to be here today, but he has also been a staunch supporter of what this means to us, and he's watched it for quite a while. And I think that he has a very good voice and a very strong voice to speak on all of Brooklyn. Our Borough President, Antonio Reynoso.
Thank you so much to our Assembly member and our district leader, Maritza Davila, for hosting this event here today. Eventually, it stops being us versus them, and it starts being rights versus wrong. Objectively, at some point, we get to a point where the nonsense has to stop. Objectively. How many more articles, how many more media hits do we need to get before someone of authority finally stands up and says, hey, this is wrong? Because it absolutely is. There's no way that the party chair could stand in front of me and tell me that what they're doing is right. Because it is not. It is absolutely wrong. We have people that are no longer with us, that are on county committee petitions, people that don't know that they're on county committee petitions that are now running for county committee. We have county misguidedly using their power and authority to take away a role that has traditionally been for district leaders in choosing who the poll workers are away. And look, I'm a reformer like the rest of them. If you're going to take it away, then give it to an independent arbiter to do that work. Allow for poll workers to be hired independent of district leaders. If you're going to do it, then do it the right way. I keep saying that I was born into politics fighting county. I was introduced to politics having to fight county, unfortunately. A young man inspired by Barack Obama, being told by Barack to get involved in local politics, go to your Democratic Party, do the work no one wants to do, like collect signatures, knock on doors, hand out flyers. That's the work I wanted to do. And they told me no. It was at that moment I knew that they were in the wrong direction, and I wanted to start working to make sure that the party was represented by the people versus the few at the top representing the entire party. But I guess the point that we're trying to make is that Brooklyn can't wait because we are the largest county of Democratic voters in this country. We should be setting an example. We should be a model for how we want democracy to look like within the Democratic Party. We should not be wasting our time in front of Borough Hall to talk about nonsense put forth by the party versus fighting to ensure that Roe versus Wade is codified, that we're protecting ourselves. We're just a couple of months away from the risk of losing our House of Representatives, losing the Senate, and arguably losing the presidency. We have to work harder than ever right now to preserve those Democrats, to support and preserve our influence and power so that we don't see this country go in a direction that Democrats don't want it to go. But we're not doing that. I'm not holding a march supporting Roe versus Wade or a rally. Instead, I'm here hosting a rally for what I want to say again. It's no longer us versus them. It is actually right versus wrong. That's what we're hosting a rally for, over this nonsense of these changes in rules and policies that do nothing to expand democracy with a little d, democracy, instead make it tougher for people like us to continue to be involved. But one thing you see here is that we cannot be stopped. Brooklyn can't wait and Brooklyn won't wait because we keep making progress in Brooklyn. We keep winning, and we're winning because we are right. That is why we're winning. And I want to thank, again, everyone that's standing behind us that is taking the risk of running for district leader and county committee and actually wanting to do it and wanting to be a part of it. I want to thank them for it. And I want to thank our assembly member for bringing us together to bring attention to this very important issue. And again, Brooklyn can't wait. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a colleague. She can verbally express, right, the law that has given the antiquated district, I guess the county leaders, to be able to make this law a possibility and to implement it at the last minute. So with that said, I would like to bring up Assemblywoman Joanne Simon.
Thank you, Maritza. I didn't know I was giving a legal lecture on this particular provision in the election law, but there is a provision in the election law that allows the county leader to ask the head of the county committee to appoint people to effectuate their engagement with the Board of Elections, right? And now for decades, at least through Eileen Dugan, one of my predecessors before me, that is what the district leaders did, right? Because they're on the ground working with community, they know who the poll workers are, they know how to recruit poll workers, people who would be good poll workers. I was a district leader for 10 and a half years, and I spent a lot of time. You have no idea how much work it is. I see my current district leader, Jesse Pierce, over here, knows how much work it is, right? This is not like a hop, skip, and a jump. And we don't hire them. We're not paying them. The Board of Elections hires them. But the Board of Elections needs help recruiting people on the ground in their communities to be poll workers. And that is a function that we have served. This time around, this has never happened. And I served with 3 county leaders. One who was convicted, the first one. The second one was Vito Lopez, who did not get convicted but was censured and kicked out, and probably would have been if he had, anyway. And then Frank Sedio, right? None of those people, and they were all very different people, Vito being the more dictatorial of the group, would ever have done this. They would never have filed objections against county committee members who were running unopposed. They would never have run a slate of judicial delegates and alternate delegates against the delegates of the sitting assembly member. The delegates at the judicial convention are there for a meeting that's an hour long, and then they're done, right? So what is the point of doing that? It's about trying to exercise power. And then most recently, we found that there was a targeted list, a blacklist. It's actually redlined, of district leaders who are not sufficiently obeisant to the county leader. And those people now have been stripped of the ability to make recommendations to the Board of Elections for poll workers. Now, having worked with poll workers, I know when you've got a site with a good coordinator and a good team of poll workers, it makes everything so much better. We should be able to say, this team is a good team. Leave them in right. But the new people are, first of all, they are running to oppose the candidates that are either incumbents in office or the choices of the sitting assembly members. They're running. One of the people they have identified to be this liaison is running an opposing campaign to my candidates, for example. So it's very, very targeted. It's the reform districts, and they're using people as a way for them to campaign by being this liaison to the Board of Elections. That is unfair. It's wrong. It's objectively wrong to do that. Arguably, she could say, let's do it differently throughout every district. That would be very different. This is a targeting. This is a hit list. This is wrong. Thank you.
Awesome. I want to bring up Assemblyman Barbie Carroll.
Thank you so much, Maritza, and good afternoon. And I don't think we need to belabor the point, but impartial election inspectors are fundamental to free and fair elections. You can't have a democracy if you've decided that you're going to put partisan actors who have a specific stake in an election to directly oversee that election. I think the only other person that comes to mind who tried to do that was the former president the day after he lost the election. It's a really sad state that in Brooklyn, in 2022, after that terrible election and precedent that was set after January 6th, we've got a county leader of one of the most diverse counties in America, where the Democratic Party is supposed to be strong, is trying to undermine our electoral process. And that's what she's trying to do. Undermine and intimidate folks who want to be a part of the democratic process. That's not right. It's got to stop. We need to have every member of the Assembly, State Senate, City Council, congressional delegation call that out, because we can't have that person leading our party. I am so glad that my colleague in government, Maritza Davila, called us all here today. I am so glad that we have a borough president in Antonio Reynoso, who's brought us here on multiple occasions now, and so many other colleagues, including Assemblymember Simon, and so many district leaders who are willing to stand up, stand out, and say no to this intimidation. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. Brooklyn can't wait.
That's right. Thank you. Next, I want to bring up one of our district leaders, Julio Peña, which also has been targeted.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julio Peña III. I'm a district leader in Assembly District 51. We talked a little bit about what we do as district leaders and recruiting poll workers, but I want to talk a little bit about what that actually is. I was first elected in 2020, right after we went into lockdown, and recruiting poll workers is a lot harder than it actually sounds, right? No one gave us a manual, no one gave us a book, a how-to in terms of recruiting poll workers, and no one sat us down and say, this is what you do, this is how you recruit people, right? I got a call from the Board of Elections and said, you need to come down and get this paperwork. and no one really explains anything to us. We had to learn by making the mistakes. We had to learn by doing it ourselves. No one sat us at a table and said, this is how you be a good district leader. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. We had to call all of the current poll workers in the district. We had to get them to fill out paperwork. We had to figure out who wanted to be a poll worker. We had to figure out how to recruit people. We had to get them to fill out paperwork. We had to recruit people, figure out which poll sites had enough poll workers, which poll sites had enough inspectors, which poll sites didn't have had interpreters. This is a lot of hours on top of, all of us for the most part have full-time jobs, right? This is 15, 20, sometimes 30 hours a week of work that we're doing. And no one gave us a manual on how to do this. And I do it because this is important work that's critical to the functioning of our democracy in Brooklyn and across the city. And no one taught us how to do this. And that's also kind of a failure of leadership. If we want Brooklyn to function, we need to be able to effectively teach district leaders how this should be done. And no one educated us on how this is supposed to be done. And now we're here, and you're taking this away. And what we're being told is we want this to be broader. We want this to be more inclusive. But where was that 2 years ago? Where was that education 2 years ago? Where was that tool set, that toolbox 2 years ago? And it's incredibly frustrating when things are used as words of inclusion and accountability, but they're meaningless if there's not actual metrics behind it. So all I say is where if you're not using the actual words, then actually put the meaning behind it. And we're here because things actually need to change. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, before Shaquana, I want to bring up one of the poll workers that will be affected by this. Where's Jonathan? Athena? Althea.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. I do appreciate that this rally is supporting us as poll worker because all our district leader has been supporting us over the years. They have given us jobs which have helped us with extra monies for kids to go to college, and I'm so sorry that it has come to this. But I hope that we will override this storm and we will go forward in the way that we normally do things. Thank you so much for your support over the years, and do have a good evening.
Next person I'm going to bring up is a person that has been targeted as well. She's my friend. She's very active. Shaquana Boykin.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for being here today. I'm sure you've heard everything that has been going on, but I just want to highlight that when you do not educate people, that's how they steal power. So the more we can educate people about what they're doing, how they're suppressing us, because it's not to say that we want to be transparent, we want to make the poll worker move smoothly, because if that was the case, every district would have had a liaison. The only people that have liaisons that are district leaders are district leaders who do not vote the way the bad leadership would like us to vote. We are not here to please the leadership. We are here, voices for our voters, for people who want to vote later on in life. That's who we owe the power to. We don't owe nothing to leadership that cannot see the importance of voice. Even if you don't see us, you're literally taking away things that our poll workers literally look forward to. You're making things a little more confusing because you already know it's already confusing, right? So now you're making it more confusing so people could get mad or frustrated, and we need our poll workers so we can run our primaries election smoothly. And they need to be able to have the information, and we as district leaders need to have the information to be able to serve our voters, our district. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's not about attacking leadership because we want to. Leadership needs to change. In order to have a robust Brooklyn Democratic Party, we need voices from our robust districts. We do not need people appointing liaisons to appease certain people. That's not democracy. Democracy is making sure that when my young cousins turn 18, they have the ability to go and vote. And when they go and vote, they know where to go. And if they want to be a poll worker, they can be a poll worker. That is democracy, and that's all I'm calling for. Education and this leadership to understand that we are better if we are united. Thank you.
Awesome. We have a surprise visitor here, our councilman. Would you like to say a couple of words?
Happy to, although I'm retired council member, but a supporter. And you know what? I won't take long. But what Joanne said about the prior district county leaders, you know, that this is actually the worst, most egregious abuse of power. When I first ran for city council in 2001, I sued the Kings County Democratic Party because the county leader had put in rules that they knew were illegal. And we sued, we won. A nonprofit legal services entity that represented us got $50,000 in attorney's fees from the party. So that was not great, but the assembly member is absolute. This is the most egregious abuse of power in my memory. And thank you to all of my people who represent me and nearby me for standing up. Thank you.
And today we have some special groups that have decided to join us. And these are very, very dynamic groups that are all over Brooklyn. We are talking about Democratic clubs that do not play. This is why Brooklyn can't wait, and they understand that. So with that said, I want to bring the person that's here to represent Mike Huxby with New Kings Democrats, and right, and the is here. Oh, sorry, it's pulling in for Mike.
I can grab that. Tony. I got it. Hi. Thanks everybody for being here. My name is Tony Malone. I'm the communications director for New Kings Democrats, and you know I'm so glad to see everybody, but I wish we weren't here again for this reason. What I want to be doing here is talking to you about the 20 amazing Brooklyn Can't Wait candidates for district leader, because they are incredible. You know, there's a lot of first-time candidates. Some of them are here today. We've got Robert Camacho right there. We've got Mark Hanna behind me. All right. We've got Mike Boomer behind me. And we've got Seamus Campbell over there. And so all these first-time candidates are going out, and this is an unpaid office they're running for in their local party. You know, they're doing this because they want to contribute. They want to do something for their community. They want to do something for their party. They want to build it up. And instead, what our party is doing is trying to shut people out. You know, people like Shaquana and Julio, who we heard from earlier, who have been working tirelessly for their communities, are now having responsibilities snatched away from them at the last minute before the election, when they really were prepared to do something for these poll workers and for the voters in their community, and now it's handed to someone else who happens to be running against them. It's really no way to run a party, and I think we know that it's time for a change. So I hope you'll check out these all 20 Brooklyn Can't Wait candidates, and consider that when you're voting in June. Thanks so much for being here.
We've been joined by another friend that he's been a staunch supporter of doing what is right for the Democratic Party, and he's a friend. I would like to bring up my friend and district leader, Mr. David Schwartz.
Hi, my name is David Schwartz. I'm district leader in Brooklyn's 48 Assembly District. It's unfortunate that we're here today for this reason. Brooklyn is a big borough. The Democratic Party of Brooklyn is a big tent, diverse. The one thing that me and my fellow, the colleague district leaders have in common today is we were all taken away our right to appoint poll workers. And when I called the Board of Elections and I asked, can I suggest poll workers, the answer was, what's your name? And then when I said who I am, answer was, you are not suggested by the county leadership. So I know the reason why the county leadership didn't suggest my name, but it's ironic that they put in someone, not even my opponent, they put in someone who works at the Board of Elections to be the liaison in my district, which is shameful, that our leadership is politicizing the Board of Elections. So while we have the Republican Party accusing us, not I say us, we have the Republican Party saying about voting fraud that we, the Democratic Party, should be legitimizing those arguments. This is shameful and that's despicable. We shouldn't be here today calling out our own party and leadership. We should all be united and fight for issues and work together. Like today is National Dyslexia Day, but you had Mayor Adams, the new program that he announced today, which is going to change lives. He's doing it in the city. You had Assemblymember Carroll championing it in Albany. You had Joanna Simon being there today. We all work together on issues, and it's not. We shouldn't be here calling out our own party leadership just because we are sometimes, and we're being punished for sometimes not going along always. I mean, look, Borough President Tony Reynoso, I remember when he called me up asking for my endorsement, I remember what I answered him. I know after he won, I think he has been in Borough Park probably more than any other elected official. This is how it's supposed to be, and by the way, thank you, Tony, for that. And Tony told me that even if you won't endorse me, I'll still be there. And that's what he did. So that's how we're supposed to be. We shouldn't be punished for not going along all these 100% of political races. And I want to thank Maritza Davila, fellow district leader, assembly member, for unifying us in this important issue. Thank you.
Great. I want to bring up a couple of people from the Independent Neighborhood Dems. Elisa Meyer. Oh, she couldn't make it. I'm sorry. Next. Who? Oh, Seamus. I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Thank you, Assembly Member Davila. Yes, I'm not Alyssa Meyer, but my name is Seamus Campbell. I am a district leader candidate in Assembly District 52, and on the board. And I am on the board of IND. I have been a poll worker, and now I am running for district leader. And the number one question I get from voters is, "What is the role of a district leader?" And I tell them it is to recruit and retain poll workers. And everyone says, because they have seen the news over the past 2 years of what our former president has been doing with trying to undermine democracy, that our poll workers are needed. And we need more of them. We need to have better working conditions, and we need to also fight for them. And taking away that one responsibility that the district leader has is truly shameful. And I know that this is not what our party truly stands for. I know that we will be doing better. Thank you.
Next, we have from the Central Independent Democrats, Diana Gonzalez.
I didn't mean to elbow you, Julio. How dare you? My name is Diana Gonzalez. I'm the president of the Central Brooklyn Independent Democrats. We were founded in 1968 because the folks in our community realized that they needed to organize their own club that was independent of the existing political organization. We've been independent ever since, and we are proud of that. And right now, I actually want to officially announce that we recently voted to endorse the Brooklyn Can't Wait campaign. Yeah. So, the reason why the party machine thinks they can get away with this is that it's esoteric, it's confusing, Nobody understands that elected party officials are involved in election administration, and they think no one will notice. So for those people who don't really understand what's going on, I want all of you to imagine something. Imagine that someone was elected to Congress, and they didn't vote quite often enough the way their party caucus leader wanted them to. And then that party leader said, well, guess what? I don't want you to run your district office anymore. All of your constituent services responsibilities are going to be handed over to your opponent. Imagine if something like this happened. It would be an outrage. It would be a national disgrace. It would be an affront to democracy and to the will of the voters in that district. And that is exactly what is happening here. We have a party boss who thinks that she can come in and take away the responsibilities of duly elected party officials and give them to people who are her loyalists and cronies. And this is just a disgusting display of cronyism and patronage. It has no place in Brooklyn. It is not reflective of the values of the Brooklyn Democratic Party, and it has to stop. And I could stand up here right now and say, Rod Neesby Schutt, you need to resign as chair. You are not reflecting the Democratic Party's values of democracy. But she's not going to. So here's what we need to do. We need to vote her out. And the way we vote her out is by electing district leaders who will stand up against this. So look at who's running in your district. Look at who has endorsed them. And then cast your vote. Probably on June 28th, but we're not 100% certain.
Thank you so much. So the next speaker, last but not least, from Brooklyn Young Dems, Mr. Hunter Rabanowitz.
Thanks, Maritza. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I'm the president. My name's Hunter Rabinowitz. I'm the president of the Brooklyn Young Democrats, the one and only Brooklyn Young Democrats. And it was around this time last year when Rod Neesby Schutt told us in an email that she was no longer going to support the Brooklyn Young Democrats legally within the Brooklyn Democratic Party. Why? Because we wouldn't do everything that she asked us to do. We wouldn't toe her line. And frankly, 1 year ago when she did that to us, it was a sign of things to come and just a repeated pattern of why we're here today. You know, when you look online, people say during this midterm year that the youth vote is more important. How the hell are you going to get the youth out when you're disenfranchising young people trying to organize for democratic causes? How are you going to uplift young people into democratic politics when you're shutting out young people like Shaquana Boykin or young people like David Schwartz? How are you going to bring the young people out? We've been so proud to be part of the Brooklyn Can't Wait coalition because when we say Brooklyn can't wait, it's more than just a slogan. It's a plea. We need change up and down the ballot. We need change from North Brooklyn to South Brooklyn to Central Brooklyn. And I look forward to being right back here in Borough Hall to celebrate a progressive, forward-minded Brooklyn Democratic Party when we get rid of this old leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think that would you like to speak? Yes, yes. We still have Jessie Pierce with us. She's fierce.
Thank you so much. I do want to give a big thank you to Assemblymember Maritza Davila, who is always on the forefront, kind of leading the charge for these and demonstrates a lot of bravery and courage for the rest of us. I think I just want to end on the Brooklyn Party chair loves to use the word unity a lot. She talks about how she's unified the party, and she gets that compliment a lot from the mayor and others. And I just want to underline for everybody, there is a spreadsheet with our names crossed out in red and the liaisons underneath them. But for only some of us, those of us who have spoke up against her and have not voted with her. And so I think that that is not the example of unity. And unfortunately, I think it will be this chair's legacy that she is someone who uses her authority and uses her power to try to stomp out and silence those voices that just disagree with her and don't vote with her. And she won't be chair forever because no one is chair forever. And I think that what you see here today is the future, is the long game. We will not let this be our Brooklyn Democratic Party. And I just want to thank everybody here today because this is not who we are, and we are better than this.
Well, with that said, I want you to take a look around. We come in all shades, colors, all different demographics. So this is not, and I know what's going to come out, this is not someone targeting a certain race or demographic or anything like that. This is about democracy, and we are willing to take that opportunity. None of these people that are back here are scared. You cannot do anything to me that I have not gotten through before. Okay? I'm a born Puerto Rican, Brooklynite, raised in Brooklyn. So we're going to get this right. And once again, people, stand up and vote. Make sure that who you're voting for is not connected to old Democratic leadership. Thank you. Oh, any questions? Any questions? Oh, okay. We answered all your questions. Okay. Thank you.
Brooklyn can't wait. Brooklyn can't wait. Brooklyn can't wait. Brooklyn can't wait. Brooklyn can't wait.
And it's a happy birthday to Camacho. Yeah, right. 72. Camacho, you always say I'm from Bushwick from like the 1920s. Like you can't be 61.
And he's a candidate.
61 is the new 30. There you go. I like that. All right, guys. Thank you so much to Marisa Davila. Un aplauso.